We have entered July 2020, and the first of this month was slated as the magical date that Israeli PM Benjamin Netanyahu might declare that he is extending Israeli law over parts of Judea and Samaria. The important word here was might, because as we know, at this point it has not yet happened, but the latest reports indicate there could be some news in the next few months once Israel receives the blessing of the United States administration. Okay, so be it. That is not my concern here. What is bothering me is the reaction of the world and the way they feel they have the right to interfere in Israel's business. Let's start with this country, Australia. I seem to recall our Prime Minister Scott Morrison becoming quite indignant when news of Chinese interference in the affairs of this country emerged. Disregarding our trade relations with China, ScoMo did the right thing and stood up to the bullying that is now the hallmark of Chinese foreign policy right around the world. So what I don't understand is why our government feels it has the right to tell Israel what to do. Foreign Minister Marise Payne has hardly uttered a peep about Israel and the Palestinian Arabs, but she broke her silence stating that the Australian government is following the developments, quote, with concern. She also said that she had spoken directly with her Israeli counterpart, Gabi Ashkenazi, and urged all parties to refrain from actions that diminish the prospects for a negotiated two-state solution. Aha! So now we're getting to the bottom of what this is all about, the two-state delusion. Then it was UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson's turn, and he urged Israel not to go ahead with the annexation of parts of, in his terms, the occupied West Bank, saying it would be illegal and contrary to the country's interests. Really? Who is he to say what is in Israel's best interests? Putting aside all the nonsense about illegality and the West Bank being occupied, he went on to patronise Israel and added, "I profoundly hope that annexation does not go ahead," he said. If it does, the UK will not recognise any changes to the 1967 lines, except those agreed between both parties. Just for the record, Boris, has Israel ever tried to tell you what to do in the Falkland Islands? And of course, the United Nations and the European Union warned Israel not to annex parts of the occupied West Bank. Annex? Putting the term occupied aside, you can't annex what is already yours, and the very tone of this term is loaded with emotion, suggesting that there is something inherently evil with what is about to happen. In any case, all we are talking about here are parts of Area C, which everybody agrees Israel will retain in any final resolution to the conflict. So why shouldn't Israel bring those areas under its own law? But back at the UN, its special Middle East envoy Nikolay Mladenov said such a move would be a devastating blow to the internationally backed two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. As the EU said, annexing Palestinian territory would constitute a serious violation of international law. Blah, blah, blah. They have repeated this rubbish for so long, they've even forgotten how to think for themselves and look at the situation with any objectivity. But then, what else would we expect from that useless organisation? The United Arab Emirates is quietly building good relations with Israel, but its ambassador also weighed in by issuing a warning. He published a video message in English and an op-ed in Hebrew, cautioning against plans by Netanyahu to exercise control over Israeli communities in the area. The whole world has got advice for Israel. The real driver in all this, of course, is the United States, but we must be practical in this real world, as Israel does have to take the US administration much more seriously because of the amount of foreign aid that it receives from America. But you know, I am just so over the world getting on their collective high horses, trying to tell Israel what to do. Nobody does this with any other country, because if they did, it would be called out for what it is: foreign interference. But it seems Israel is clearly different, because any world leader obviously has the right to tell it what to do. I don't suppose that this is going to change any time soon, but if I had any high-level role in Israel's government, I would be telling all those countries very clearly, mind your own damn business. This is Alan Freedman for the Australian Jewish Association.